Federal Executive Council optimistic of quick exit from economic recession. It also approves 40 billion naira for FEMA towards road maintenance. Oil rallies past 8-month high as U.S. crude inventory drop on vaccine hopes. And our conversation on the program today focuses on gender mainstreaming and the economy. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. The Federal Executive Council is reassuring Nigerians that the current economic recession bedeviling the country will be short-lived. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, stated this while briefing journalists after the meeting of the council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. Statistics recently released a negative growth of minus 3.62% for the Nigerian economy in the third quarter of 2020. A growth of 6.1% was recorded in the second quarter of the same year. Minister of Finance said although the economy is technically in a recession, there has been an improvement of 40% in the economy over the second quarter. She said 17 sectors of the economy are showing growth.
Better than we expected. Is also much better than was projected by the IMF and the World Bank. This COVID-19 recession follows a pattern across the world today, with almost every country that has reported its GDP going into recession. Bringing it closer home, the South African economy in the second quarter of 2020 reported a negative growth of 50%. This is compared to Nigeria's negative growth of minus 6.1% in the second quarter of 2020. The trend of improvement between the second quarter and the third quarter clearly shows that this recession will be short-lived, and it indicates that we could actually exit recession in the fourth quarter, or worst case in the first quarter of 2021.
Actionable plans for short and long terms capable of rebirthing the global economy to deliver sustainable development post-COVID-19 have been presented to the world. This was during a roundtable series of renowned economists convened by the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres. In the past 10 months, the coronavirus pandemic has precipitated one of the worst health, socioeconomic and humanitarian crises in over a century, which the consequences are negatively impacting the lives and livelihoods of billions of people globally. The virtual meeting brought together influential thinkers, policymakers and economists to reflect and build on outcomes of the first two roundtables in the series. Convener of the meeting, Antonio Guterres, wants a real and foundational necessary change to assist developing countries solve their problems occasioned by the pandemic.
Liquidity has benefited developed countries. It has benefited middle-income countries with good access to financial markets that have good fundamentals.
Since those least privileged and poorest in society spend the most out of their incomes. Inclusive growth is the only way to achieve sustainable economic growth.
There is, big conversation on how we need to move forward with proposals that have massive counter-cyclical stimulus measures, universal social protection floors, aligning our recovery policies and packages with the SDGs and the climate agenda.
Balancing family and career could be some of the toughest issues confronting professional women. It gets more complicated when there is no understanding either at home or at the workplace. At the just concluded Nigerian Economic Summit, the plenary on women in leadership pointed out the highs and lows for women and how to give them a desirable environment to remain productive. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Julia Gillard, former Prime Minister of Australia, joined the conversation. Let's take some perspectives.
In a woman's life when biologically she's having kids. Now, there's going to be major distraction for her from when we're trying to look at women in boards, particularly on some of the boards I chair, we notice that once you get to just below executive management, women had disappeared. Because for about 7-8 years in their lives, they were doing family business, and they then kind of missed that gap. Now, the male boss and the husband have to help the women fill that gap. So, COVID has taught us now that we can work from home, we can rebalance, so we need to cut the women some slack. Enable them to balance work from home, feed the baby and then be on the conference call, combining it, instead of being rigid. Once we can do that and keep women in the pipeline, then we'll have a lot more women where it means to take decisions.
The ministry, I have a number of special advisors and technical advisors. 12 of them are women. Because I do believe that the empathy that women have and this instinct, a natural instinct for collaboration and partnership is best found in women. So in these difficult times, I find that when I speak, when I suggest what needs to be done, it's taken more easily than my male counterparts.
I believe that a woman in a leadership position really is an enabler in maybe 3 or 4 ways. One is enlightening other women to the possibilities and the potential that they have. The second one for me, which I have also always done, and I think is important for women, whether it's in public service or whether it's in the private sector, is educating others. So whether it's educating in terms of exposing them to skills that can help them achieve their potential, or it could be, in say my own case, where in the financial services sector, educating women on the basics that they need to know. The third one is empowerment, and empowerment is really about resources. How can I help a young lady who comes to me, who's running a business and does not, having enlightened and educated her, she then says, okay, so what do I do next?
On gender mainstreaming and the economy, I have with me Lady Charity Nwakwalam Ohadiaga. She is an executive partner, Win Nigeria. You're welcome to Business.
Thank you.
Express.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We're talking about women empowerment, women contribution to the economy. Where is the place of a woman in economic development vis-a-vis the issue of exclusion?
Thank you very much. I want to start by saying that if you look at the population of Nigeria, the population of the women have a large population, and I also want to bring out that there are many women who are professionals who are adding value to the economy and they are developing the economy. For instance, now the Nigerian Economic Summit has just finished.
Yes.
Those who watch the news will hear many women from different perspectives, from different professions, making their own contribution about how the economy will improve. The average Nigerian woman, especially those at the rural environment, they put more effort. What we don't know is what we cannot actually say, what is the outcome of their input.
Okay, just yesterday, the world marked the International Day for Ending Violence Against Women. What does violence against women do to the Nigerian economy?
Yes, the violence against women, what it does to the economy is that the woman does not have time to add value to the economy, because either she's busy being confronted or confronting the other gender, let me put it like that.
But there's been this talk about gender equity, gender equality, and we've had women take very vital places in making decisions in our economy, in other aspects of life. Are you not seeing women doing enough?
They're not doing enough because they have a larger, their population is small. They're not doing enough, but what we are also advocating is that wherever a woman finds herself to occupy the space appropriately and be result oriented, it's not about how many women are there, but just the women who are able to find themselves in a very top position, medium positions, to be able to occupy their space effectively. And we are also advocating that it's not about because she's getting this position because she's a woman, but because she's a qualified woman who has the skills to perform a role.
Take for instance Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She talked about having to do extra at all levels to ensure that the woman does well locally and internationally. What do you say about that?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, because the woman needs to do extra to occupy her space. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has been penciled to get this World Trade Organization job because she's a performer. Everybody knows that. She goes extra mile to perform her role wherever she finds herself. So for every Nigerian woman, whether you are the one, there's a woman I saw a few days ago on the web. She was frying akara, and with that akara, BBC came to interview her. And from there, one man who eventually got a position now moved her from that level to be a counselor in her locality.
Okay.
Just like she said she put everything in frying that akara, and she does it with so much joy. So it's not about being a woman, it's about how you occupy that space, the job that you have been given, how do you perform it?
Okay, but still talking about gender inclusion, the Minister for Trade and Investment, talking about Katagum, Mariam Katagum, she advocated and she actually got the slot to allocate 45% of the 75 billion naira survival fund to women. But as we are talking at this moment, out of that 45, we still have women not able to complete their quota. What do you say about that?
We are still working on it with various women organizations. I am representing the Catholic Women Organization of Nigeria, and some of them we are exposing them to the modality. Some of them, they find this process very clumsy. We are bringing professionals to put them through on how to assess these facilities that are available for their small-scale businesses.
Well, no doubt the woman is the head of the house, talking about administration, taking care of the kids, taking care of the husband and everybody. What is that role? Are women doing well in ensuring that they prepare children, talking about both genders, the male and female, growing up to take roles in societies, looking at where our society is going, talking about moral decadence? And they say at some point, in some places, they say the youths are not that productive the way they should be. What do you think the woman should still do to ensure that these kids grow to know that they should take better places in society?
Yes, very important question. What the woman of this day should know is that they have to move with the pace of the young people. You cannot be let me say, if you want to say, I don't use the internet, I don't use the social media, and you find out that everybody in your house is on the social media, and you find out that you are the one who is almost left out. So you got to go to the social media and meet them there and know what they are doing so that you're able to advise them. I want to give an example. One day I was browsing on the Facebook, and I saw my niece. I saw one hefty man on her Facebook page, and I called her and I said, who is this hefty man on your Facebook page? He said, he's just a friend. I said, a friend? You don't know who he is. You just a friend on this. And so I now called the father and said, look at this, look at this. So if I was not on the internet, I'm not able to correct that. So it is good for the mothers. The mothers, if you must have a grip of what the young people are doing, especially your children, you need to follow them back to back on whatever they are doing, social media, Instagram, or whatever you call it, so that you're able to be where they are. Otherwise, you will not match them.
Okay, how should women support women?
Yes, I want to give an example. This morning, where I'm coming from, I have a program I'm running somewhere, and I saw this lady very smartly dressed, and I say, look, I like your smarty outlook this morning. So what am I saying in effect? When you see a woman who is making progress and you are a woman, just say something nice. Say, so you are doing very well, keep it up. Or if you want to be part of what she's doing, go to her and say, look, I'd like to know how you do this thing. For instance, we are talking about, you introduced me as executive partner of Women International Networking Conference Africa. I have been on this for the past 21 years. And I have taken some women from Nigeria to go to this conference in different parts of the world, India, Japan, and various countries in Europe. Because some of them, I have spotted their talents, and I know that when they go to these conferences, they will be able to meet their partners in the same profession. They're able to interact. So when you see something that is good, you expose the other women to it so that they can also benefit from it. That's the way women will empower the other women. But word of mouth, like this loan we are talking about, we are bringing the women. Some of them say, I cannot do business, so I can't do business with loan. Or I don't want to do my business with loan. So how can you expand your business if you cannot do business with loan? You need to have a loan. You can't have all the money to set up a big business. So that's what we are advocating, and trying to counsel them about these facilities that are available that they should access.
Thank you so very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Women are supporting women, and there is also hope that the Nigerian woman is growing bigger and bigger, economic and business-wise.
Certainly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, moving on, the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, has announced the introduction of new guidelines to accommodate more liquefied petroleum gas investors and operators across the country as part of its policy on gas. This initiative by the oil and gas regulator is part of the measures aimed at enhancing the availability of LPG, also known as cooking gas, in Nigeria, in addition to meeting the current administration's target of 5 million metric tons of domestic, commercial and industrial LPG utilization in the next 10 years. This was disclosed by the Zonal Operations Controller of DPR, Ayorinde Kadoso, at a public sensitization exercise on safe usage of LPG. Kadoso stated that the federal government, through the National Gas Expansion Program, was committed to making gas accessible and affordable for Nigerians. Oil rose for a fifth day on Thursday after a surprise fall in U.S. crude inventories gave further legs to a rally driven by optimism that vaccines will end the coronavirus pandemic and revive demand for fuels. Brent futures were up 45 cents at 49.06 a barrel in early trade after rising around 1.6% in the previous session. West Texas Intermediate crude was up by 34 cents at $46.05 a barrel, having gained 1.8% on Wednesday. Both benchmarks have risen about 9% this week, getting a boost after AstraZeneca said on Monday its COVID-19 vaccine could be up to 90% effective adding to the potential armory to end the worst pandemic in a century. Gold has tumbled from record highs as investors eyeing an end to the coronavirus pandemic move money to riskier assets. How are other commodities faring this Thursday? And on the stock market, investors gained 223.86 billion naira as the NSE firmed up by 1.25% Wednesday amid improved market breadth. Market breadth closed positive as May Baker led 36 gainers as against 11 losers, topped by Transex at the end of the session. Market turnover closed positive as volume moved up by 19.02% as against 35.67%, downtick recorded in the previous session. Transcorp, Zenith Bank and the Access were the most active to boost market turnover. Dangsem and Zenith Bank topped market value list. Mansard leads the list of active stocks that recorded impressive volume spike at the end of the session. European stocks are expected to open slightly higher on Thursday as a global equity market rally takes a breather. Boseriable reports has a summary of global market activities.
Various factors have continued to affect global markets. It was a positive start for Africa's stocks, with South Africa's JSA Africa Top 40, Nairobi's All Share, and Tunisia's Tunidex posting gains. European stocks are expected to open slightly higher on Thursday as a global equity market rally takes a breather. London's FTSE is expected to open 22 points higher at 6,402. Germany's DAX 4 points higher at 13,307, and France's CAC 40 up 9 points at 5,582. Stocks in Asia Pacific struggled for direction in early Thursday trade as investors reacted to minutes released overnight from the U.S. Federal Reserve's November meeting. Shanghai Composite rose 0.22% to 3,369.73. Hang Seng Index was little changed by 0.33% higher as of its final hour of trading, and Nikkei also gained 0.91% to 26,537.31. In the United States, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell on Wednesday, taking a breather after reaching a significant milestone, while traders poured over disappointing unemployment data. Meanwhile, as at the time of this report, stocks in the United States are yet to resume. Bosede Ebo, Business Express.
The naira depreciated against the dollar across the official and parallel markets Wednesday, with many analysts predicting further decline of the currency. At the official investors and exporters window, the naira declined by 2.0% to 393.25 per dollar, dropping from previous positions of 385.50 per dollar. Most participants at the I&E window maintained bids between 382 naira and 384.83 per dollar. At the parallel market, the naira depreciated by 0.8% to 487 naira per dollar. A look at the exchange rate is next. The This is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now. The hashtag is BizX. Business Express returns tomorrow. Be safe out there.